just loved seeing your announcement this weekend. It went all over our timeline that you, as FDA commissioner, are finally cracking down on the Fauci-esque style barbaric testing of torturing innocent dogs for very little scientific benefit or research, if at all. So the floor is yours, Mr. Commissioner. Tell us about this new policy.
Well, good to see you, Benny. You know, we have to modernize our health and human services agencies. And that means at the FDA, we need to move to computational modeling and modern techniques and something called organ-on-a-chip technology, where you can test a drug on a cell culture line in a laboratory. We don't need to be doing a lot of the animal testing that we're doing. So when I came to office a year ago, we announced within weeks a roadmap to eliminate unnecessary animal testing. And I'm proud to report today that we had another major milestone in the last week. We announced our new guidance that says you don't need to do a lot of the types of animal testing that have been going on. You don't need to test monoclonal antibodies on 144 chimpanzees. You can use newer techniques. The kennels that house the beagles at the FDA facility in Maryland are empty. We have a facility that housed cattle and goats. There are no longer any animals at that facility. So we are on track on our roadmap. And the reason this is important, Benny, is because not only is it more humane for animals, I personally don't think God created animals for us to test all these products on when we have better techniques, but also we are lowering the cost of research and development for drugs. That means lower drug prices for everyday Americans. And for example, the 144 chimpanzee requirement, that takes time. That takes 6 months to a year. That means people who could benefit from a powerful new drug have to wait an additional year to get access to that drug. We just approved 2 cancer drugs in 44 days and in 55 days, respectively. These are powerful new cancer medications that can literally bring people out of hospice. Do we really think that we need to have unnecessary delays in the process from things that just don't make sense? That's what we're changing at the FDA.
You know, it's very interesting doing this for so long. You very rarely find circumstances where you can really truly unite all of Americans, but the vast majority of Americans love dogs. They love their pets, and they have a personal relationship with a dog, either that they grew up with, for me, a Black Labrador, or a dog that they currently own, or maybe they're like my neighbor and they own 18 different dogs. Either way, there's very rarely circumstances where you can say the vast majority of Americans unite. It's like a 90-10, probably 99-1 issue, and this is one of them. This horrible image was, of course, circulated of Dr. Fauci testing on these innocent beagles. I believe it was sand fleas, and they were being eaten alive on purpose, and it was cruel and it was evil. Perhaps you could tell us, why would you ever do this in the first place? How bad did it get, Mr. Commissioner, in order to sort of underset how important it is that we stopped this?
Look, that was an NIH-funded study that you're describing, and I have nothing to do. There's no way anybody can explain that except that it was mad scientists that were doing things on animals just because you can. Now, just because you can do something to an animal doesn't mean you should.
Yes.
And do we really need to know that that particular pathogen can spread via sand flies and from one dog to another dog? Is that really the cutting edge of science that we have to discover? Or can we understand food and school lunches better, and the role of all these toxins in the environment and the microbiome? So what's crazy about some of these inhumane animal experiments is that they came at the expense of studying basic things that we need to understand in order to have a healthier population of children in this country.
I know this is a personal question, but are you a dog guy, a cat guy? Do you have any pets at home?
I love dogs, and people ask me that all the time because of all the reforms we're doing to eliminate unnecessary animal testing. But we don't have a dog. My wife's allergic to dogs. But look, I get it. Dogs are wonderful, beautiful creatures, and they are emotionally intelligent. And so, look, we want to do what's right, even though I personally am not going to benefit here any animals from home.
Yeah, I'm like horribly allergic to cats. I really love dogs, but I got 4 little kids, right? And so it's like not enough hands in the first place. So hopefully a dog in our future, but probably a decade down the road. Nonetheless, I'm cheering for and celebrating all of this. All of America is, it seems, totally and completely cruel. We have Senator Rand Paul on all the time, Mr. Commissioner, and he's constantly banging on about his criminal referral for Dr. Fauci. In your time at the FDA, do you believe that there's perhaps criminal influence that may have happened in different eras?
Well, Dr. Fauci, since he was at the NIH, we don't directly have any records of his activities, but we did see a cover up to silence data on myocarditis, a COVID vaccine complication highest in young kids. So young kids were the lowest risk for COVID, getting in trouble with COVID infection, and they were the highest risk for myocarditis. So by sort of suppressing that information, it sort of created a misrepresentation of the risk-benefit ratio. Now, that data has since been made public, and myocarditis appears in the label of these vaccines. So we're doing what we can to set the record straight. But look, when we came to office, we walked into a mess. We had been funding a lab in Wuhan, China, that likely brewed up the virus that killed 25 million people. We walked into 12% to 14% of NIH grants were going to DEI, not to curing rare diseases or cancer or kidney disease or diabetes, but to describing differences in the population, which we already know are true. So we walked into a mess. And so what we wanted to see was money go towards important things that have to do with the well-being of kids. Addressing the 40% of American kids that have a chronic disease, having SNAP waivers for the first time in government, where Brooke Rollins has said now 20 states have applied for these SNAP waivers where you don't have to use taxpayer dollars for junk food in the SNAP program. So we're not afraid to go radical, and that's exactly where we're going.
That's so important. I'm sorry, I have to ask one follow-up on SNAP. What, tell us, how insane had it gotten? How is it that the health administration in our country was funding the most unhealthy choices for our children?
Yeah, $400 million a day was going out of the government for food. And that's not even to mention what was going on at the military bases. Now, military has said, hey, we want to participate in this health revolution. We want to serve healthier food. So we've seen incredible partnerships across government, the Department of War, the USDA, HHS, FDA. We rewrote the food pyramid to tell people the truth. You know, we're interested in telling Americans the truth and letting them make good decisions. We told women the truth about hormone replacement therapy for postmenopausal women, the profound short and long-term health benefits. And we told people the truth about food and the importance of real food and the estimation of protein in the old food pyramid. So we're not letting industry write the food pyramid based on what they want you to buy. We want scientists with good nutritional bases write the food pyramid so that this can be a procurement document for every government agency that buys food, from the local school district to the state level to the federal level. This is real food, and this is what we want people to buy.
It's incredible. We have up on screen here the inverted food pyramid versus what I grew up with, and it's crazy. It was just upside down. It really is unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. A parting message, perhaps, Mr. Commissioner, about these reforms to save animals and to not torture animals. Why did Dr. Fauci do this? What? Yeah, I mean, because this is the news of the day. This is the top 10 tweets in my timeline is people celebrating your decision here. This might be the single most popular decision the federal government's ever made, at least in recent memory. What's your parting message?
Well, it's sad that scientists figured out that beagles are particularly docile and cooperative. And so the beagles then got recruited for these cruel scientific experiments. So we're setting the record straight. I think we need to understand that it's not bad to challenge deeply held assumptions in science. That is, in fact, how science is conducted. So whether it be telling people the truth about food, whether or not it's doing what I agree 90 to 99% of Americans believe to be right when it comes to the treatment of animals, And
Yes.
I'm not even sure who the one is in the 99 to 1. I mean, I'd like to meet that one, but these
Or
are
maybe
things
not.
that
Yeah.
make, or maybe not, but
Yes.
these are things that make sense and they're scientifically valid. We need to encourage scientific debate, not censor it.
Yes. Yes.